No? Yes? Okay. So we'll just, again, delve into the plenary session. I'm going to request the presenters of different groups to just come and give us a wrap-up. Yes? In the interest of time, if you could just come and wrap up and not represent. Represent. Yes, yes. Can we just start with group one? The presenter for group one, you have 5 minutes to come and present. Fine. Okay, just kindly wrap up. We have 5 minutes to present both. You had two speakers, so if you could just summarize what they both spoke about in 5 minutes. Presenter, group one. Oh. Good afternoon. Welcome back from your session. My name is Mercy Lakisa, presenting on behalf of Group 1. Now, our first question was the potential of sports to improve the living standards of the Ugandan people. And from our discussion, we actually got to learn that it's a means of employment. I think 90% of most of us here, I have been told that I am rapping. Because they gave me very little time. Okay, I'm sorry. So we actually learned that about 90% of those who are here are actually employed through sports. We have facilitators, we have coaches and all that. So this is a means of employment for the people of Uganda. And also empowerment. It's a platform where you realize that sports tends to be aggressive at some point. So it instills in you like self-esteem. You get? It builds you as an individual, and in that way you get empowered. And also it gives you a platform to articulate or express yourself in a better manner. And the other point was also about fame and publicity. So we have people who have been exposed out there through sports. So you find that today you're the face of this, or tomorrow Keep Rotich is now Keep, I don't know, Keep Zero, Keep Sipping. So this is what actually sports brings to us. And infrastructure development, when a country actually hosts, like you have like a hosting right, it brings in development in terms of infrastructure. Recently, Makerere hosted. Now there is an arena actually being built there. It's going to be one of the best, I think, in Uganda. This is the type of the development that we are talking about. Also the area development. Sometimes you have athletes coming from specific areas, so we get to know, for example, some of us didn't know that Captura existed in Uganda. When you see people coming out from here and actually get exposed, and you know that, oh, we actually have these areas, and it's exposed to the rest of the world. And economic benefits, when we are hosting, definitely you have people coming in. Our hotels, like Grand Imperial here is, you know, it's on market, and then we have tourist attractions all over the place. So I'm just trying to wrap up these things, but that's actually quite self-explanatory. And we also looked at the fact that it reduces on crime rate. But sports itself can be a unifying factor, not just within our country actually, but even Uganda and other countries at large. And also the legacy of the game improves. For example, I don't want to mention She Cranes again, but it's one thing that I'm very well acquainted with. But like you see, how netball has come from down there and now it's all up there, and even Uganda as a country is out there because of netball. And I won't say very much, so I'm going to invite my other presenter, Flash, to take us through. She's an expert in the field of coaching.
Yeah, of being coached, actually. Hello, everyone. I'm Flash. Body told us to rap through all this, so I'm going to try my best. This was mainly about the coaches and the players. And hello. Hi. We were asked a really important question. Where are our coaches today? And I don't know if a lot of us think about that, but most of us thought that our coaches today are not really anywhere because we do not consider coaching to be a profession, as you know. We do not have any courses that are there for our coaches to start learning through, and most of our coaches are players who have played before and stopped, retired, or not gotten a chance to play, so we can't really say we have a good coaching system. However, we have some. There are few they are there, but we could do better. We're asked another question. How do ladies get to know about the opportunities of coaching? Now, maybe as much as we might not be told about the opportunities, we felt us as women were also not that interested to find out if they are there at all. So we should be able to do that, and we should be able to take it. And a lot of us ladies here are actually really good coaches that would love to see actually coach male teams. But for now, let's actually start with the female teams. Why are our female teams having male coaches? We need to step up. That was lack of information flow. Then we went to the topic of maybe it's not about the coaches. Is it probably about the players? What are the players doing to achieve world-class status? A lot of us here are athletes, and you could ask yourself this. I actually came up and said, for me who has played this long, I feel athletes right now or players feel like they are entitled to the game. They're entitled to play. They're entitled to have a jersey. They called me into this team when I was good in high school. I feel now I have to play. So you're not really willing to work for that shirt number. You feel it needs to be given to you. And when it's given to you, and you get that first, oh, top player, oh, MVP, you feel, I have arrived. No, you have not. That means you just need to work twice as hard to keep to the top. You know, it's always hardest to keep to the top, not to get there. The national coaching, I talked about the framework. We don't really have it. We went back to curriculum in schools. Sports is by chance, and I share this really proudly. I'm a very huge sports person, but I'm saddened to say that my daughter in a very good primary school, they don't do actually any sports. There's only time for homework and classwork. No sports at all. And now that she's in primary 4, the teacher actually told me, this school is now, she's at a level where she cannot actually do sports. She has to concentrate more on classwork. And I'm P4, and I'm thinking to myself, we are talking of grooming the next swimmers, the next Inzikuru, the next this, and my daughter has sports shoes she doesn't use until holidays. So I'm really hurt, and I hope those who have a chance to speak to MPs, speak to Parliament, we're tired of kids telling us how they forgot who is Gipiri and Labongo's sister. They need more time to actually get into sport. Focus on creativity, on being creative, that's to us players as well. Focus on detail, focus on nutrition. Most of us don't really care about what we eat. That's the honest truth. We don't know what we eat when. We don't really care, and you don't actually know that it actually damages you when you're playing and further in life. You find a 15-year-old complaining of knee injuries and all that, and some of us above 30 are good to go. So yeah, we need to focus on that, and we need to start them young in school. Again, same thing. Let's cross out that Gipiris and Labongos and get our children to actually play some sports or swim or do something. Now that we know that the school cannot do that, us as parents, a lot of us here are mothers. Are you actually doing anything to help your child be a sports person? Are you doing anything? Are you getting them to do aerobics, to do any sport at the end? It comes back to us as women. Empower them to empower others. Yeah, let's do our best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Group 1. Now, Group 1 was looking at the potential of sports to improve the living standards of the Ugandan people, and also world-class coaches to develop world-class athletes and the status of our coaches. I'm sure they've done a good job summarizing what they looked at, right? So I'll just take one question, not a comment, not a supplement, just a question. Does anyone have a question? Our facilitators for these topics are still here if you have a question. Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to remind us also that we're live streaming. That's the link. So you can just share the link. You can save it for, I guess live streaming means that you can somehow save it and watch it later and none the wiser. But yeah, we are live people and just care to share the link. Yes, so we're going to go straight to group 2. There's a question?
Sorry, this is, I was in the same group, but I'm afraid, I don't know if it's possible that for a second the cameras can go off. I just want to announce something which is very important. Right? Yeah. It's just going to be for a second. I think it's something that we must celebrate.
Tweet, let's Facebook, let's, what's the other social media thing? Statuses. Well, I'm just saying, yes. Okay, now we are back on the record. Okay, just as the presenter for group 2, if you could just come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are we? So our area of discussion was on women in sports journalism and how women are portrayed in media. Madame Anthea Ibembe already discussed this, so we shall have very little to say on this. But a brief overview, it has been noted that generally women are given very limited coverage when it comes to sports. We've concluded that I think over 80% of women are not given any form of coverage in sports. So we really need to do a lot when it comes to giving women coverage and promoting women in sports and journalism. But going back to the previous speaker, I would love it that if this discussion goes outside this room, she talked of her child being in a school where they don't have sports on their curriculum. I think maybe that is even more fair. Where my daughter goes, the fees we pay does not include sports. Every time your child goes to the field, you pay 10,000 per sport. So I think we should influence the government. Sports must be part of the school curriculum. We shouldn't pay for it separately. We shouldn't say this is P4, no time for sports. So I would love it that after this discussion, something should be done from the government level. So back to the discussion. So looking at the fact that women are given cosmetic portrayal in media, how they look, how they dress, she's pregnant, family lifestyle, what is the way forward? So what are the recommendations? One, sometimes we are our own enemies. It is common knowledge that women have little interest in sports, especially when it comes to reading. When we are reading, we basically look at social life. So our first recommendation is for women to pick interest in sports. So if you don't pick interest, we don't expect others to pick interest in us. So we need to do extensive reading, we need to participate more, we need to get more knowledge in the areas of sports. Two, we need to build capacity of existing female journalists. it is these existing female journalists that are going to help us give a higher coverage for the existing female athletes or players. So if we hold workshops and seminars for all the female athletes, I don't think they would at any moment fail to cover their fellow female counterparts. And then we also say that we need to do more training, especially to the women. We need to train our female athletes to join journalism. Athletics and sports is a talent, but besides the talent, you can build yourself extensively. For example, they can join journalism. If a female runner is a journalist, trust me, she would cover all the sports activities that are existing. So I think that would help us hype up our coverage in the media. And then we also suggested that women should watch out their use on social media. This also has hampered their coverage, the cosmetic coverage that we are given in the media. For example, the pictures that we take, the way we dress. So if you came out as, say, like the best basketball player in the media, they would look out for those postings that you had on social media, the cosmetic dressing, maybe by then you were 16, you didn't know what to do. And then they would use that to kill your achievement as a player. So we also need to watch our use of social media. And then finally, we also suggested that we should encourage retired players we should encourage retired players to come back on board, mentor the existing players, and also be sources of information. Because if we had players of the 90s and the 80s, we use them as sources of information in the sports world, they would help us give more coverage onto the existing upcoming players, other than using people who are not interested in sports and then they look at you as a cosmetic being. That is all we had to discuss in that area. We had part 2 of our discussion, and my counterpart will take that on.
Hi. All protocols observed. My name is Pajija Sharon, a volleyball player with KCCA Volleyball Club. My coverage is going to be on injury profiles of women participating in sports. What is the step and what are the procedures? Way forward. First of all, as a woman, you need to know your body. You need to know your body, the strength, your weaknesses, before you play any sport. Then we need to have basic knowledge about sport and the sport you play. I play volleyball, for instance, and before I play, I need to know that I need to have a slight warm-up, a thorough stretch, and then I can go vigorous. Otherwise, if you just go in and start playing, you'll get a very bad injury. And then we need to build knowledge, we need to know that we need to encourage our government to build facilities for the different sports. I play volleyball, and volleyball is meant to be played on a soft ground, but all the clubs in Uganda play on tarmac. Now, playing on tarmac, remember volleyball is jumping, moving around. Imagine you play 3 years consistently on jumping on tarmac. Definitely you're going to get knee injuries, ankle injuries, permanent. Because if you want to keep playing, you'll keep going back into those hard grounds. So we need to encourage our government to build facilities for us. And then we also need to research about these injuries. I'll give an example. The people we trust to help us with these injuries may not have all the ideas or may not know everything. I give an example of myself. I used to be prone to muscle pulls, and this doctor they would bring to treat me would actually bring ice to put on a muscle pull. Now imagine putting ice on a muscle pull, till I researched that actually ice is not good for a muscle pull. So they also need to get all the knowledge to help us. And finally, I think that's all, because we don't have so much time.
Thank you very much. Straight up, if someone has a question.
The complaint that was raised by the former team that have just given us their report. Susan is my name, a teacher by profession, but in administration. I have had a complaint here about children getting 24/7 on books. The ministry, I want to bring it out clearly, as a curriculum that is all schools, there are 5 basic sports that a school must have. The problem that we have is that some administrators or directors, they only play a deaf ear to that. But please take it from me that the ministry has got that in curriculum. That's why you see every time there are those games. That's why at all levels there are competitions. The problem is implementing the people who are down. They have tried to move around, but some schools still pay a deaf ear. That's the reason why we have PES department, physical education and sports. So the fact that a few of us have the idea that the ministry doesn't have that in their curriculum, please, it is the teachers on ground or the administrators in those particular schools that are not implementing the ministry program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Susan. Susan Anek is also the president of the Netball Federation in Uganda. Yes. Group 3, okay? The Group 3 presenter.
Good afternoon to you all. Or good evening, sorry. My name is Nanukwago Judith. I play tennis at Makerere University. Our topic was exploiting our genetics and physical makeup for talent identification and maximum performance. And what we discussed is, we are all born with special talent, but then our environment will affect what we make out of that talent. And some of the things we got that affect our talent are infrastructure, that is proximity to the infrastructure. For example, someone gave an example. In those days, people who used to live around the Lugogo arena got the opportunity to learn all the different sports, which was not the same for the people who are living far away from the arena. Another thing is exposure, that is / talent identification. And this comes in with the structures, like people have been talking about schools. Some schools don't have these sporting activities, and some schools have them. So that will affect a child right away from when they join school. And also the government policies. People are talking about the government including sports in the curriculum. The other thing was about nutrition. What we eat affects our performance in sports. Especially, it affects mainly the women, because women, we know we have hormonal imbalances, so we need to really feed on a balanced diet. So that's to enhance our sport. Then another thing we discussed was social support. This is through our role models, our family and friends. People who encourage us and people who discourage us. Like our friend who gave an example, she was discouraged by someone who was playing netball, apparently they would die. So if it was someone with a weak heart, they would get discouraged immediately. But when we look at these role models and they have made something good out of their talent, we also get encouraged to participate more. Then what I got is also, despite the fact that we have talent, we have to, these factors enhance, and some of those are through hard work. So, like that saying goes, hard work beats talent. Our next topic was hormonal issues in sporting women. So, when we're discussing, we discussed what a hormone is. These are natural hormones, are chemical substances which direct body processes. So we discovered that women have hormones. The hormones we're interested in were estrogen, progesterone, and women also produce a small percentage of testosterone. So we realized that hormonal changes, women have their hormones change according to their menstrual cycle. And we realized that these changes in the hormones affect their attitude, their daily attitude. So, for example, we gave examples that women, we were told that women are more prone to injuries than men, and that is because of their hormones. We were told by the doctor that, for example, I'm just giving an example, the tendons in our bodies, other joints, have estrogen receptors. But you know how our estrogen, the women, varies according to the menstrual cycle. So whenever it varies, that means it's changing the physical structure of the tendon. And whenever we are doing sporting activities, of course, we are using our joints so much, so we are prone to injuries compared to the men who have a constant level of hormones. Then we had a female athlete triad, which included arthritis, that is inflammation of the joints, weight loss, and absence, stroke, irregular periods. And this is also brought about by the hormones. How the hormones affect this triad is hormonal imbalance affects the appetite women have. So when, for example, if a woman experiences loss of appetite, that means they're going to eat less. That means they're going to lose weight. That's one of the things in the triad. That means they're going to consume less calcium. When you consume less calcium, that means you're not having calcium that builds our bones. So you're not having enough mineral for the bones. So you are most prone to what? To joint problems, osteoporosis. Okay, that is, okay. You're prone to demineralizing of the bone. So it becomes weak and it can easily fracture. And the other thing is, we said estrogen levels vary. They increase, they decrease. So that causes irregularity in menstrual periods, even if you're not pregnant. Yeah, that's mainly what we had to discuss in our session. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I think it's very much important for us to acknowledge the fact that the issue of testosterone is a very serious issue. And as we are speaking now today here in the conference, CASTA is fighting for that issue in Switzerland. And it will be very much important for us to show support for CASTA because of the problem with CASTA. It's not a CASTA issue. It's issues that affect mostly athletes in Africa and in Asia. And it will be very important for us at the end of this conference to convey a message of support.
Thank you. Some other thing I've forgotten, we emphasize that women need to have a balanced diet in order to counteract all these hormonal changes. You need to eat proper meals so that we regulate the effect of these hormones. Of course, they will be there, but whenever we have a balanced diet, we shall counteract the effects. Then also, some of the things some women do to overcome this effect of the hormones, they go for doping, like they talked about it there. So, exactly what we're saying is nutritional balance. It will help us with all these problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Group 3. I'm going to allow for a comment over here.
I'm sorry to take you back to Group 2, but I left out a very important point. Sorry, very, very important. Unlike in the modern world, here in Africa, most times we take protective gears as an option or we can do without it. But maybe if they put it as a strict rule, to use the protective gears before we play, we'll avoid the injuries. Take an example of a friend told us about cricket. They're supposed to use helmets, but most times we don't use the helmet. So imagine if that ball hit your head or hit your eye and you get blind forever. So we have to make it like a rule to use the protective gears. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think people want to take us back to their groups and say things there.
No, actually, complimenting on what she has said about protective gear. I think it goes a lot back to the federations. I'll cite my basketball federation has done a really good job. There's no players that are allowed to step on the court unless you have hepatitis B, immunization. One time last year, a lot of teams got walkovers and relegated to the other division. There's no way around it. Either you have taken the vaccination or you do not play. So the federations need to come up and say, this is it, this is what you need, or you do not step on court. Because at the end of the day, it's our health that matters.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. We have almost come to the end of this conference. I think that deserves a round of applause. You people have sat through this conference, the very first conference. It has gone down in history that you, insert your name, that you who? Yeah, that you was at the very first Women and Sport conference. So I honor all of you for that, yeah? We're going to, Aliyah, if we could just find Aliyah. Aliyah, I hope she's had. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is to just go through the conference declarations. What's our take home? What's the result of this sit down? Yeah? And Madam Ms. Saison Rosette Mayer shall take us through that session. You can just take a minute. Now you're allowed to talk. Tell your neighbor what you think were the flaws of this conference. Tell them what you think you learned. You know, catch up now. I was asking people to rap. Flash was saying, Body has told us to rap. Now you can have breathy conversations as you just wait for. As you prepare for the conference declarations, I just want to let us know again that we're going to have a tea and coffee session, but it's for networking, yes? We've heard that there are very many dignitaries, very many people of power in this place, so we're going to get a chance to talk to them. Don't be afraid. We have the incoming member of FASU in our midst. You might want to give her your number or take her number, yes? So let's network. We have upcoming president of FASU in this house, I believe. So rub shoulders with the president, the current president now. This is an opportunity for us to network, to sell self, for women to stop being victims, like Albert said, stop victimizing ourselves and take the forefront. Okay, I think we are ready.
Okay, a very good evening once again. What we are going to give you is a flash, a little bit of what came out of here. It's going to take we had about 4 different themes. So we are going to give just a snapshot of what came out, okay? Under the leadership, one of the things that we need, role models, but it has to be sustainable. Whoever is going to do the role modeling, whether it comes to, in terms of leadership, it has to be something that has continuity. If I do something for her, she needs to do it for the other person and the other person. It's about making sure that at any one time, we have the ladies in there. Then we talk about sensitization, which should be holistic. It's a whole package. It's not only about the coaches or anybody, but also starting with our own families, with our own communities, with other structures that we have in the different places, including the institutions that we have. In leadership, we also had something about affirmative action in sporting institutions. It could be in the universities, how many are actually on a certain board that is governing sports. It could be in other institutions, UOC and the other. Some of these institutions already have it, but it needs to be revamped. It needs really to be activated so that it's actual, it comes out. Then it's very important as in leadership, exposure to information.
Most of the time we don't even know what is where, but it's twofold. Each one of us needs to really find out what is happening somewhere. We need also to get active. On the other hand, there are places that have this information, for example, UOC need to make sure that this information is disseminated and people get to know what is happening. Very important, networking among its women leaders. It's very unfortunate as we gather today, we only looked at sports. And yet when it comes to funding, that's when we are going to run to those people who are in the private sector. So we need to network with all women, and we try to move together as women community, not moving as sports people, because there we are segregating ourselves. We need to see how we network with other women leaders. Then capacity building in leadership roles, of course that goes without saying. Each one of us need to really make sure that our game is up. The good leaders remain good, but make sure it rubs off also to others. What are the needs that you need to be trained in, for example? That one is also another one. Now, the second category was about the media. Like I'm saying, it's a snapshot. In the media, we are talking about sensitization of the media. We need the media to really understand what it means to report gender responsibly. Yeah? It's about not to say to women, how do we try to balance? Because gender equality is about balancing. But if they've not been reporting, for example, on issues that are for women, like we had this afternoon, reporting and putting the women, reporting the women's births, as opposed to doing it this way, they need to do it right. Okay, so they need that sensitization. Then exposure to information through clear channels of information, it's very, very key. Because at the end of the day, as media, as they get this exposure to whatever information they have, it needs to be viable, it needs to be factual. We don't just say so and so was here and what I saw was the red hair. But what did she do? It's very, very important. Clear channels of information. Then unbiased reporting for women's sport. Of course, we all know, at the end of the day, most of the reporters, we've heard it this afternoon, it's about the male, and if it's about our women, there's a way we try to analyze in a certain way. But we need to look at more of the substance as opposed to who this person is. Then alternative means of branding self other than traditional media. Yes, the media has done itself, but me as a sports leader, me as a sports, rather as an athlete, how am I branding myself to use other alternatives other than waiting to be put in the print media, on the radio, and on the TV? Are we together? Now, the status quo of participation of women in sports. One of the key things that came out is we need to create sustainable mentoring system. Okay? When you start mentoring somebody, don't just say, I did my bit and I stopped yesterday. It has to continue. Now, there is also the bit about favorable gender responsive policies. Most of our policies are gender blind. Gender blind in that it can give just one sentence and it doesn't matter. But we need to make sure that they are gender specific, gender or targeting. Who exactly are we talking of? And I would like to add something. It's called gender equality and social inclusion. You remember how we've seen our sister there? Let's try to understand, even if you are talking about a woman, which woman are you talking about? That girl with disability, that girl who comes from the rural setup. So most of these come in there when it gets to favorable gender responsive policies. Utilizing existing community structures. There are so many structures that we have. Schools, Segas in the community, Kojas in the community, youth groups in the community, churches, mosques, all these different places. We need to utilize them so that, you know, at the end of the day, we use them as a platform to express who we are. Okay? Creating opportunities for women in sports is very, very important. How have we done that? How have we done that? Starting from the individual level. Everything is not about resources in terms of money, but creating opportunities. Can you step aside and then make sure you hear something that another woman or another girl can actually utilize? Then support and funding, that goes without saying. We need the materials, we need the financial to make sure that whatever sport we are in will be able to be well facilitated. Networking amongst women athletes, just like I talked about the other side, networking amongst women athletes and other stakeholders. Let's not stay in a cocoon. Let's not be, we the netballers, we the basketballers. When it comes to sports and the women, and there is something that we can do together, it's very, very important that we network. Conducive environment for athletes to flourish, yes, very important. The spaces they talked about in the morning. How are we trying to make sure? Because one of the things, for example, yes, was it Madam Penina who says there is no facility and I have to change without? How do we try to make sure that when it gets to, for example, competition, and I've taken girls who are about 15, 13, and there are also boys there, how do I make sure that they are esteemed, protecting them, not only them as girls, but also the boys, so that at the end of the day, they get to know there is something called privacy. How do we try to do that? Try to make sure that whatever facilities we have, even if it's one facility, you can always improvise and say, girls go in first, change, come out, and boys. We need to use what we have, but looking at it with the gender lenses. How do boys do their things and how do girls do their things? Capacity building. So much has gone under the carpet. Coaches do this, coaches do the other. Maybe a little bit about them not understanding what exactly needs to be done, or who is a coach and what are his roles. And the refs as well, and sports administrators. Now, another one was about research. We need to make research a priority so that it informs and impacts on the development of the policies. We are saying let's develop policies. But then, there are other policies that have been developed, and they are always looked at because policies are, what do they call them? Working documents. It can be, something can always be put there in terms of clauses that they can change. So it's very important that we do our research, and the research is right to inform into the policies. Then as our theme is 360 degrees to change, we need to do the same as we approach research in sports. Don't say, because a rugby player does this, you never know how that one can actually either impact positively or negatively in any other discipline of sport. Okay, so research, we need also to do, to turn and have a holistic approach towards the way we look at issues of research, the way we analyze them. Number 3, action-oriented research is very, very important. Why action? As soon as you get that research, how does it inform into what you're going to do practically, taking an action, so that the results are going to enhance the improvement of or performance of that athlete you're targeting. Then number 4, we need to support and encourage research amongst all of us. I'll tell you something, everybody, are you researchers? I'm just asking, are we researchers, all of us? Each. Yes. No. Actually, for each one of you here, you're researchers. Can I say something? Don't quote me. When we're doing Lugamo, what are we doing? I heard so and so did. How do you do it? Some of us even go that extra mile to analyze that category and everything, that race and everything, isn't it? It's a research. You're already even analyzing. But if you just turn that one into the positive and you say, I would like to know what makes girls drop out because of their periods. Why the periods? They don't have pads. Why the pads? Because they can't afford them, but she's shy. So you see, there are so many things that you can actually analyze. That means all of us can be researchers. So that's why we are saying all of us are encouraged to do a research. And then it informs into the different disciplines of sports that we are having. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rosette. Okay, thank you very much again for taking us through the conference declarations. If you didn't take anything home, at least you're taking her wrap up, right? About the whole conference as we know it. I'm going to allow Flavia to make a small announcement.
Sorry, ladies, I know you are quite tired today, but since this is a women's conference, we have a Women's Day production happening in March. March is the month of women, and we're involved in a production that's meant to empower women talk about domestic violence, talk about talent in women, talk about your lives at home. But all this is going to be done through dance at the National Theatre on 5th of March. So they said we need to support each other as women. You might start with me. There's a small video, I think Aliyah has, it's 1 minute. It's a dance production. So if you get a chance to come to the National Theatre, I think it's 50,000 shillings. Get your sports. We have Anne Kansime, myself. I will not be playing basketball, I'll be dancing. Yeah, shocking. But we talked about branding ourselves in all different units, and this is how I do mine. So hopefully I will see your faces come to this, and that's the production that's on there. And I really hope I will get to see you. It's called I Am Female. Men are welcome too. You could learn about women this way.
Thank you very much, Flavia. That's an opportunity for us to support each other. We're going to play this video after our closing remarks. Yeah, so as we wind down, I'm going to invite Madam Penina to just come and take us through the closing remarks. Yes, a round of applause. She's the reason why we're here today. She's the muscle behind this conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I give my closing remarks, I'd like to invite one of our members, the Director of Student Affairs, Uganda Christian University, to come and give a vote of thanks. Nalongo Olive Ayobilavi, you're welcome. For your information, UCU, Uganda Christian University, is doing very well via the girl child. The Lady Canons have been champions forever. And Flavia Okeche is an alumni.
Good evening, everybody. It's a great honor for me to be here at this conference. And I really thank God I managed to spare time to be here for the short time I was here. I've benefited tremendously. Penina here, let not you be deceived by her size. She's my baby sister. At university, she was somewhere there when we were up there. But we have remained friends despite that. There are so many alumni here of UCU that I've already met. And we are proud of you out there. And my job is simple, just to say thank you. To say thank you to every little one of us. I'll begin with the organizers. Penina and your team, thank you so much for what you have done. This is beautiful. Let me see those who would like to be there next year. For the next, I hope it will be next year. Yes, next year. Please make sure I'm there in that next year. We are very grateful to the panelists. You had a first-class set of panelists. They did a good job. The moderators, thank you very much. The MCs, there are people I didn't know had talents in MCing. I've seen them also. Dignitaries in your various capacities. The entire sports fraternity, the press, everyone in your different positions. Some people just came out of interest, some just wondered whether women can do anything sensible, and they came up. Thank you for trying us. Now you know you can come back. If there is anything I have been challenged to do, it is to take up our leadership positions and to be mentors. Because if we are mentors, it means that what we are doing is going to continue. Not so. So wherever we are, let us mentor others. Let us look for those small people, the little people that we can mentor. I have a grandson who is in P1 now. He is already in a soccer league. He is one of the best swimmers in his school. You know, he does a lot of things, but now I realize it's because
I mentored my daughter, and my daughter is mentoring him. So it actually continues. So let us be encouraged to mentor as much as possible. And my sister, if that was my child in a school where there is no sports, I would remove them. To be sincere, I would remove them. We do not only go to cram in schools. There is a lot about learning. The whole person needs to learn. You need to use the whole of your body to learn, not just the mental. You need a lot of it. So please encourage those schools. You can threaten them. If you're not bringing sports here, I remove my child. And soon you will see another one doing the same. We need to be the ones to go out there and make a difference. So thank you very much. I don't want to start a set of speeches. God bless each one of you, and thank you for coming again.
Thank you, Nalongo, for the interest of our international guests. Nalongo is a mother of twins. On behalf of the organizing committee, I take this opportunity once again to thank all of you for honoring our invitation. I want to thank the gentlemen in the house for accepting our invitation, for believing in us, for mentoring us, and for being there for us. Without you, we would not be what we are. Thank you very much. We've had representation from all over the country. We've had representation from North Uganda, Gulu, Arua. We've had representation from Western Uganda. We had people coming from the borders of Rwanda and Uganda, Kawale University. Keep it up, and we thank you for that. We've had representation from the Far Eastern at the border of Uganda and Kenya, Busitema University. Thank you for honoring our invitation. All the clubs, federations, individuals, the panelists, the moderators, and everybody, I think we've done a great job, and we need to pat ourselves on the back. On behalf of ours, I again take this opportunity to invite you. March 8th, we always have a big women's event. We have an all-female university games. For the second time, they'll be held at International University, Islamic University in Uganda, IU female campus. The composition of the participants is all female. Coaches are female. Officials are female. Males are invited to watch and cheer. So please don't miss out on this event, which is taking place on the Women's Day. I want to thank the team I've worked with. You've been awesome ladies. Awesome ladies. Mavita, she's thinking big. Asha, I don't have words. Body, thank you so much. Rosette, all of you. And I want to thank also our mentees. In this thing, we've not been alone. We've had young ladies who have been calling you, who have been doing this, whom, for us, we've been sitting behind and ensuring that they make things happen. Bridget, Dorothy is not here, Jackie, Ruth, thank you so much, and all the volunteers that have been here today. Some of us may think that we've come from far, that I came all the way from Kabale, or from Muni, Arua. But we have people who had to pay their air tickets from all the way from South Africa. My sister Ntambi, Nomsa, Dr. Alete Malombete, and even Joanne, she had to jump on an easy coach last night to arrive and be with us. I think that's a lot of commitment, and we thank you so much. As the organizing committee, we are committed to have this event annually. And I want to extend this invitation now, that next year, same time, please, you are most invited, come and support us. We've been overwhelmed by your support, even with such short notice. So we pray that you be there with us, and we plan to have this even bigger than it is today. And in addition to the declaration made here today, I want you to join me in declaring that we are supporting our sister, Caster Semenya, the topmost female athlete in Africa. Let them, hands off Caster Semenya. Are we together? Hands off Caster Semenya. I think as Ugandan women in sports, we want those people to get their hands off Caster Semenya. Let her compete. Let her enjoy her rights as a woman and participate. With those few remarks, I want to once again thank each and every one of you in your respective capacity, and officially declare this conference closed. A women, oh yeah. A women, oh yeah. A winning, oh yeah. Ra. Ah. There we go.
Thank you so much. The conference is closed. I don't know what I'm still saying, but I want to let us know that